Hi, my name's Laura and this is my channel So Very Laura. So today I'm back as promised with all the things that have come into my sewing room in the last roughly 3 months, 2.5 months since the end of August. When I say everything, I'm not including things like interfacing and thread, but I have some fabrics to show you. And I also have a few other things that aren't fabrics, some wool and some bits and pieces for bag making, and a lovely little ornament for my sewing room. So if that interests you, then please stick around. I'll get started, and I thought the easiest way to do this is for me to start with all the stuff that isn't fabric, and then we'll do the fabric at the end, so stay tuned for that. So what have I got that isn't fabric in itself? So most of these come from a trip that I took to Boys in Lincoln with Mandy, Make It Sew. So I can't show you everything because not everything that I bought was for me. But in terms of what I got for me, here is the wool that I mentioned. So this is, as you can see, a marble chunky wool by James Brett, and it comes in these huge 200 gram balls, and I just love it. You can see it's got lots of different colours in it, and this is to make a crochet pattern which I'd already bought, so I might have shown you this before, and it's called the Chunky Monkey sweater, and I bought that at a wool shop in Cheltenham, which sadly is no longer trading, but it needs some chunky wool. And the wool that it suggests is actually proper wool, which I tend to find makes me cough. So I have to have acrylic really. So I got this, and I bought 2 balls at Boys, got it home, and then checked again how much I needed because I didn't have the pattern with me, and I needed twice as much. But I've been lucky and I've managed to order another 2 balls from the Wool Warehouse, which I think still has it. And they even had the same die number, so I've purchased another 2 balls from them, so I've now got the right amount to make this at some point, hopefully this winter, because it is still really cold. Okay, so that was the first purchase, the wool. And then one of the other things I want to make is the Get Out of Town 2.1, sorry, there's a bit of a glare on the polythene there, which is a duffel bag by Annie, and I bought this pattern at the Festival of Quilts in August, also accompanied by Mandy from Make It Sew, and I'm starting to think about what I would like to make it in, and I don't yet have any fabric, but I think I'm probably going to go for something like a navy canvas or a navy denim, and then go for bright accessories, as you will see. So I have bought my webbing for the straps, and this, as you can see, is very rainbow. So I got this from Boys. I think I've got about 5 meters. So I've got my webbing, because I know from Mandy it's good quality webbing that they do there, and also it was a good price. And then I also got these, which are, excuse me looking away, here we go. I've got a couple of D-rings in rainbow, and then I have the buckle for the strap, and a couple of the carabiner hooks to go onto the bottoms of the straps via the D-rings. So yeah, I still need a zip, and some, I did look for some rainbow coloured zip pulls, but couldn't see any, but I got those. And I also got, which Mandy spotted, an iron-on L. So assuming I go for a plain colour, which I think I will, I can iron that onto the outside of my bag. So yeah, I think that'll look rather nice when it's done. So that was all the notions that I got from Boys. I also picked up this, which is a 45mm rotary cutter, because although I did buy that craft knife to do cutting out paper patterns, I do think it probably will be quicker if I use a rotary cutter that I only use for paper. And again, this wasn't expensive, and so I thought I can use the blades that are in here, and then I can also use the blades that come out of my fabric rotary cutter, because they'll still be sharp enough to cut paper, so I'll get longer use out of them. So I also bought that. So that was it in terms of notions from Boys. I've got a bit of fabric which I will show you later. And then I hopped onto the Specky Seamstress website last month and bought myself 2 lots of her bias binding. So you might well have seen these before. That one is just kind of really funky kind of shapes and squiggles. I just like the bright colours on it. And this is similar, but it's got a really nice message on it, because it says, please look after me. And then it also says, as you can see on the back, and yourself too. And I just really like that. So picked up a couple of those. And then the final thing I got, which isn't fabric, but had to get it, and hopefully you'll see why. I went up to Yorkshire to stay with one of my school friends, and while I was there, she and her husband took me to Salt Mill at Saltaire, which is now a kind of shopping, it's a shopping centre, also a gallery. It's got all sorts, it's got a vintage area, exhibition. There was a David Hockney exhibition there, but there was also a shop which sold various things, kitchen items. I think my friends bought some glasses, but they also had some quite fun items. And I got this, which is called a Hoptimist. And on the side, it just says, make every day a little more joyful. And this one is a cat. So excuse the rustling. He can come out now because he's been in the box waiting for me to show you him. But I couldn't resist it. I just think he's so cute. He needs to come out of his box. But essentially, when you pat him on the head, he wobbles. So I thought he might cheer me up when I'm sitting there with my seam ripper. So he's going to sit on my sewing desk. So that's everything that isn't fabric. So I'm going to pause this now and go and get my stack of fabric. In the news this week, in terms of my sewing, is that my overlocker has currently given up cutting fabric, so it is currently in for a service, and that means that I've got the table it sits on free to put the fabric on. But all I have of my overlocker at the moment is my thread catcher. So yeah, but I just decided I've put new blades in it. It hasn't really helped, and it needs to go to an expert, so it's gone off for a service. So yeah. Right, I shall pause this and go and get my fabric. Okay, so I'm back with a satisfyingly large pile of fabric. So I will go through this. I've tried to do it more or less in the order I got it. I'm hoping the colour will come up all right. I've just put all this lot on Stash Hub, which reminds me, because I've got my phone here, so I can just check what I've got, how much I've got and things. I hope the colours come up okay, because they didn't come up brilliantly when I was taking photographs for Stash Hub. So we will see. I mean, it's dark now, and also the light hasn't been good again today because it's been raining again, because this is Wales. So let's see how we go. So the first lot, the first 3 fabrics are from a day out that I had with the lovely Angela, who is on Instagram, Angela Lysandru, and Mary, who is Revitalised Sewist on Instagram. And they are both members of the Southern Social, which is run by Sam Sequin Gurley and also by Mary herself. And so that's where I know them from. And we had a day out in Birmingham. And this was in part because Barry's, which you've probably heard of as being one of the fabric shops that people tend to gravitate towards for cheaper but good quality fabric, was closing down. So we all went up to see what we could see there. I didn't buy anything at Barry's, but after we'd had some lunch, we then went off to Birmingham Rag Market, and I picked up 3 pieces of fabric here. Now, actually, I think this one is probably my favourite one. How's the colour coming up? Okay, so it is this kind of petrol-y colour. Maybe it's a little bit greener than that. Probably that's more accurate. You can just see there this sort of slight greenish tinge to the fabric. But I love this. It's got all these enormous, I think they're mushroom leaves, but they do kind of remind me of those sort of big mushrooms that you can get. And I really like this, and I picked up, I think, 4 meters. And I want to make the Marilla Walker Bellem Night dress out of this. Probably going to be more of a spring make, but I just think it's really pretty. They had a lot of nice viscoses actually, but I decided I had to be strict with myself, so I only picked up 1 and decided I would go for that because I quite like the big pattern on it. So that is the first piece that I got from the Rag Market. Next up is, let's check, another 4 meter piece, and this is kind of quite heavy actually. So this is a blue jacquard, I think it's cotton, and you can see it's got this leopard print on. So this is, in reality, probably this is coming up really quite blue again, and it's really more turquoisey than that. But you can see I've got 4 meters of it, and it's really quite heavy. So I want to use that to make either a pair of trousers or maybe a jacket, probably as a wearable toile. It is really quite bright. But I saw it draped on a mannequin in the market and decided that I was going to get some. I'm not going to unfold it, otherwise I will be here forever. It is, when I look at it, it's looking okay as the colour, but it is definitely slightly more turquoisey than that. But you can see it's really heavy, and it feels actually really nice. So I think it'll soften up once it's been washed. It is overlocked, ready to go in. So yeah, now I've shown them to you, they will be going in the washer. And of course, now I've got my sewing machine back because I haven't had it while the kitchen's been redone. So that was the second piece. So my final fabric from the Rag Market is this, which I'm not under any illusions about. I think it's polyester, and it's kind of velour crepe, sort of crinkly. But I kind of like the variation in colour that gives, and I thought it might make a nice top for you know, going out or something, particularly around the kind of Christmas time, although I don't have that many occasions to go to. And really, I think it's the sort of fabric I probably would sew on my overlocker unless I can get some Mariflex for it. So whether it'll get sewn up in time for any festive events this year, I don't know. Although actually it's not that darker green, so you know, it's not that holly and the ivy colour. So I can always probably get away with wearing that at another time of year. But I thought I'd give it a go, and I got 2 meters of that. So that was my purchases from the day in Birmingham. Next up was some fabric that I picked up when I went on my cruise. So our first stop was in Madeira, and we had a wander around the town, and I put fabric shops in Funchal into my phone, and sure enough there were fabric shops in Funchal. And so the one we went to was Fiera dos Tecidos. I'll put it on the screen because I've probably just murdered that. And I had a good rummage in their remnants and picked up 2 fabrics. Now, I've got multiple cuts of each of these, but I've not got, there's no point in me showing you several lots of the same fabric. So this is a really sheer, I mean, to be honest, fairly see-through cotton. I think probably it's cotton lawn. And as you can see, it's this kind of sort of quite a light red, really, sort of watermelon red, I guess, with lollipops on. And we know I have a history of lollipops because of my jersey t-shirt make, which Janome UK very kindly picked up when I posted it on Instagram and have reposted. So thanks, Janome. So yeah, I got this because I thought it might make quite a nice shirt, or even something like you know, a swimsuit cover up. And I actually have over 6 meters of this, but it's in 5 pieces, and you know, they vary between something like 1m20 and 1m40. So I think if I made a skirt in it, it would, or a dress, it would definitely need lining. So we'll just have to see what I find to do with it. But it wasn't hugely expensive. It was something like £6.80 a metre, I think. But I bought a second fabric, so that might have been that fabric. But yeah, I've got 5 pieces of that. So that's the first fabric. And here is the second one. And you may well say she goes all the way to Madeira and comes back with something that she could probably have got in Scotland, and you might well be right. Although whether it is an official tartan, I suspect not, but let me know. I do quite like tartan. I used to have a tartan kilt, not a proper one, probably from Marks and Spencer, when I was younger, but I did like it. And so I picked this up. So these were also in the remnants bin, and this one I've got a bit less of. So I think I've got, hold up, I will tell you how much I've got. I have got 4.1 meters of this, but again, this is in 3 cuts. I hesitate to say it's 100% cotton. It feels like it might be something like a cotton poly mix. It's quite heavy. And it was whilst I was trying to overlock this that I realised that my overlocker really wasn't working properly. It did not like this fabric at all in terms of trimming off fraying edges. It just kept chewing it and jamming. So yeah, I will probably make a skirt out of that. I don't think I really want tartan trousers. I might make a waistcoat, but I'll probably try and do a skirt first. So yeah, but I like it, and I think it's nice for the winter months. So I picked up 3 bits of those, which gives me, as I say, just over 4 meters. And then last but not least, I went to the Welsh Sewist catch-up in John Lewis, and we had a swaps table there, and I got 2 pieces of fabric on that. So the first one is this, I'm pretty sure this is polyester. It is quite stretchy. It's black jersey with these lovely flowers on it. I just love the colours. But it is one of those fabrics that is going, when you stretch it out, it's going to go white. So again, I think I really need to try and find something fairly drapey to make with this. Maybe something like a Naya, because that's quite boxy. But again, you know, A, it was free, B, it's a lovely pattern. And so I grabbed that, and that I've got 1.2 meters of, so definitely enough to make a Naya. So that was my first one. And my second one and last one isn't actually something that I would have really seen myself going for a number of reasons. And it's this. Actually, this isn't the next batch. Last batch. I've got one more fabric to show you after this. This is actually coming up the right colour. So you can see it's this kind of pistachio green. And it is a linen, and I have got 3 meters of it. Now, I would have said this wasn't my colour, but hold that thought, because I will come back to you on that in about 2 weeks when I start talking about fabric overwhelm. And B, I've tended never to sew in linen because I get a bit fed up when it creases. But the lady sitting next to me had brought this along, and it is quite heavy because there's 3 meters of it, and she really didn't want to take it home again, and nobody else seemed to want it. So I said, okay then, I'll take it, because I thought, well, I can give it a try. And actually it is really pretty. It is a really pretty colour. So I think that is probably going to be a jacket. I don't really see me wearing trousers in that colour, but I do think it might make a very nice jacket, and 3 meters should be plenty. So that was the fabrics that I got at the Welsh sewing meetup. And then this is the last one, I promise. Blends in with my sweater a bit. This is the one fabric that I bought at Boys when I went with Mandy. Now again, this is not really showing up as the right colour. It's a very bright peacock, kind of turquoisey. And you might recognise it, particularly if you quilt. It's the John Loudon Flutterby quilting cotton. So I think it's one of those, I can't remember what you call it, where you blender fabric. So it's one of those, but I've always really liked this pattern. I have used it before in a red, which I had in my stash for a little while, and then I made the Sew House 7 tea. It was the tea dress, but I made the top version. So I'll pop a pic of that up here. It didn't fit me for a little while. I haven't tried it on recently. I've still got it. So I will put a pic up of it. But I really, really love the fabric and the pattern. And every time I go to a show, I eye it. And I think they had it in Boys for something like £7 a metre. So I decided that I would buy some, and I bought, I bought 3.2 meters. So I think I asked for 3 meters, but I think that was what was left. So I got 3.2 meters. But it's not forest, it's very slightly deeper than the leopard print jacquard, but it is definitely, when I look at it on my lap, the colour looks fine. It's definitely more turquoise than it's coming up on camera. And that is going to be a shirt, but yeah, I'm really glad I bought it, because I keep eyeing it and not buying it. So yeah, so that is everything I have to show you. So if you have any thoughts for any of the pieces of fabric that I've spoken about, that in terms of patterns that you could suggest, or items of clothing, let me know. That would be great. Next up from me will be my make for the final Busy Bee challenge, which is Cozy Makes. And given that my overlocker is out of action, all I can say is thank goodness for Mariflex. So I hope you've enjoyed this. If you have, please give me a like, and that really helps my channel. Leave me a comment. And also, if you haven't subscribed already and you want to hear more from me, then please do. You'd be very welcome along on my sewing journey. I'll see you very soon. Bye for now.